Hello, everybody, and hello, Alex. Welcome
Hello.
to episode 29 of the Old Men Magic Podcast. So the last two episodes, I've been asking people to actually subscribe to our channel, like our videos. First week, I made that request. We were -1 subscribers. This past week, we got 4 subscribers, Alex. It was our biggest week ever.
Whoa.
So I'm going to continue. To ask people, if you enjoy our podcast, please subscribe to our channel. Please give us a like. Maybe even hit that notification bell. We got a lot to talk about, Alex. Today we got a lot. we got a really big shoe. We got some follow-ups to episode 28. One was about triggered abilities and whether or not they go on the stack. We had a question that everybody else listening to the podcast and everybody else who plays Magic the Gathering already knew.
Yeah.
But since we forget everything all the time, and we haven't been playing Magic very often for a long time, it came up in reference to the creature that I forgot the name of already. Forgotten Ancient? There we go.
Oh, yeah, okay.
We were talking about Forgotten Agent, and I was like, oh, it's 03. That means it's boltable. But then I read the card. So I have to stop making conclusions before I actually read the card. That's a major weakness of mine. Whenever a player plays a spell, you may put a +1/+1 counter on Forgotten Ancient. So I was like, oh, if you play Forgotten Ancient and then your opponent tries to bolt it, that's a spell.
Yeah.
You put a +1/+1 counter on the Forgotten Ancient. How do these things resolve? And we were like, oh, this is a triggered ability. Do triggered abilities go on the stack? Because if somebody plays a bolt and it triggers this ability and then this ability goes on the stack, it would be on top of the bolt on the stack. It would resolve first, and then their bolt would just be wasted because this would have 4 toughness.
Mm-hmm.
The answer is yes, triggered abilities do go on the stack. We answered the question to this scenario last week because you just Googled, like, I think there was a specific answer to what happens if Forgotten Ancient is lightning bolted, and then the answer was like, in that case it survives, but it didn't really explain why that was the case. It is because triggered abilities go on the stack.
Okay.
Once an ability is triggered, its controller puts it on the stack as an object that's not a card the next time a player would receive priority. I'm not going to see Rule 117 time in priority. I'm not going to think about that right now. I don't want to do it. Second follow-up was, we read this article about the Lord of the Pit, the Gem Mint, 10 graded 10, Beckett 10, CGC 10, I don't remember who graded it, Alpha Lord of the Pit that went for $100,000.
The Big Daddy.
The big boss. There was a fine gentleman who worked at a company, PWCC, who referred to this as one of the most popular monsters in Magic the Gathering. I was like, who the hell says that?
We had a chuckle.
And then you said, oh, maybe Pokemon, maybe he's a Pokemon expert or something. Pokemon are called monsters. It's actually short for pocket monsters, which was the original Japanese name of the game. Everybody probably knows this already. I probably learned this already like 5 times in my life, and I have forgotten. But yeah, I'm sure that's why he called it a monster, because he's probably a Pokemon player and he doesn't think that much about Magic the Gathering, so he called it a monster. I still don't like it.
No,
but I understand why he did what he did now. I don't like it, but I understand. Next thing, when we were talking about that card, we both came to the conclusion that probably it hasn't actually been sitting around in somebody's box opened that many years. It was probably, in order to remain Gem Mint all these years, probably opened from a pack, one of the few remaining unopened alpha packs. It's probably opened from a pack not quite that long ago. At some point when we were talking about that, I mentioned the Open Boosters guy. He opens a lot of old packs. And I said, I know he opened he went viral at some point, and I came across it when I wasn't even playing Magic the Gathering. This is at some point when I was in grad school and I had sold off my cards. I came across this video of this guy opening this Lotus and freaking out. People who didn't play the game came across this video too. There were lots of comments like, what is this weird guy flipping his shit for? And why is he wearing surgical gloves? But I couldn't remember what the Lotus was. I couldn't remember if it was unlimited or an alpha or a beta. It was an alpha. It was an
Wow.
alpha Lotus that he opened from a pack 8 years ago. I'm going to make you watch the video, Alex. Here we go.
Hello and welcome to Open Booster.
Let's
Welcome
see
to
those
Open
booster boxes there, those old school ones.
The
Man,
Alpha Starter. This is where you actually get to pick the common that you want to choose
We'll
from.
see how
I'm gonna
much
open this,
lag I get. I
and
may
you just comment down below when you get your common. So whichever common you want that comes out of here, you will.
I may find myself fast forwarding through a lot of this video.
You will get.
that's okay.
I'm here with my friend who actually started all. You may say hi. Hello.
How's the volume on your
Right
end,
here to
Alex?
watch
Is it
us
good?
Open this Alpha Starter. Ta-da.
Alpha Starter.
All right. So I'll begin here because.
I wonder if that means it only has 2 rares in it.
Fuck.
I can't remember. There was some difference, right, with starter packs, Alpha versus the other
I think
sets?
even in revised, I think
Down.
earlier ones had 2 rares and then they switched it to 3. So I'm guessing if it was like that in revised, it was probably like that in beta, unlimited, and alpha.
Hopefully it won't
You know what? I was forgetting this was a whole starter pack. We're probably not going to watch this whole 10-minute video.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Good thing about YouTube is you can do this.
Trying not to see the rare when it comes out.
Oh, I was going to say good thing about YouTube is you could
Rare is always
hold the cursor over this progress bar.
cards.
Oh, yeah, and it does show up. See, it tells you like where the peak views were. So you see this?
Here we go.
What's he doing there? He's scaring me. He's scaring me. What's he doing?
I know
Oh,
this
there
is what he does.
cellophane on that inside there?
Yeah, the starter packs are always like that, I think.
I didn't even remember that. I remember them
So
having it on the outside, but not on the inside.
He slices over with a X-Acto knife. He always goes to the, remember there was a rules booklet.
Oh yeah, that makes
So he
sense.
goes to the rules booklet.
Good.
It is funny though to watch him put on the surgical gloves and slice it open with an X-Acto knife. I wonder if he's ever screwed one up accidentally.
Is
He's
he
been
doing
doing
this
this-
extra slowly for effect? Do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I'd be
I
freaked
feel like he's
out.
making it a little dramatic.
Even 8 years ago, the stuff was expensive
Yeah.
as hell.
Oh, of course. I just, this was also meant to be opened like with your hands. So
Yeah. Well, he's also wearing surgical gloves. Keep that in mind.
sure.
I think that it is a little bit. Some people do that, I've watched people handle like ancient manuscripts. Rare book librarians often make a point of talking about how they do not wear surgical gloves when they're handling old paper.
Because it's like makes you clumsier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And according to them, the oils from our hands, if you have not washed hands, you shouldn't have to worry about doing any damage just from.
I mean, I've certainly never seen magic cards,
Oh, here they come. Commons.
show problems from being handled by people carefully. You know what I mean? Even a lot for a long period.
So if you want the Scave Zombie, you can actually just write that comment in. If you don't, keep watching. Nice little circle protection white.
It's crazy to think how much the prices of these have increased in the past 8 years.
I know.
It's
Mountain.
depressing.
Everyone will be writing that one down for sure.
It's not depressing if you already owned them all, but it's depressing
Plains
for me.
competition for the mountain. Remember, I'm only going to be choosing one winner. Fire breathing.
All right, skip ahead. I don't want to see fire breathing.
I'm going to. Healing salve. I see an invisibility.
I
Let's
saw
go there.
invisibility there. Yeah.
This gets me psyched.
Invisibility.
I don't know why. I don't really like invisibility. Never really played with it, but it is one of those cards that we didn't have access to because we were
Yeah.
open and revised. So it's like
Yeah.
special to us.
It went out of print, so
We
it's
couldn't
it's like
open
an
it from a
old
pack.
Well,
old era.
Ah.
We're seeing all those revised commons here, Steve. Scathed Zombies,
the unicorn. She's a beaut. Island still looks beautiful.
Island.
Here we go. I'm gonna move it forward to the big stuff.
Okay.
Here we go. This is where all the action is.
Copper tablets.
Woo!
Enchant animate artifact.
He just goes past the copper tablet. Don't even care.
Sarah Angel.
Hell yeah.
One. She seems to be pretty
That's
centered.
good. I feel like he's getting like less careful as the cards are getting better.
I think he's starting to shake because he's getting closer to the rare, or the rares. you see how quickly he goes past an Alpha Sarah Angel? 8 years ago, I wonder what they were going for. They still
Yeah,
weren't, like,
probably not
cheap,
much.
but like you and I, let's say we started getting back into Magic 8 years ago. You know,
Could have picked that up.
you're buying old lands. We could have picked up Alpha or Beta Sarahs instead.
Yeah, we could have gotten
just-
some in on those uncommons.
Yeah. God damn it, Alex, story of my life.
I know, right?
Always behind.
Last uncommon, Soulnet. Here comes the
Terrible.
first rare. At 8 minutes in, will it be the Lotus? Oh wow, Tropical Island. Dual land.
How much is that worth now?
And
8
then
years
the
A
later.
other-
lot. Yeah, that's sick. To get a Lotus and a duel.
That's a freaking Black Lotus!
It's a freaking Black Lotus.
Holy God! That's an hell of a freaking Lotus! That should... Holy... Oh my God!
It's a beaut. Now he weeps. He weeps in the background. This
Yeah.
is where the people who never played Magic the Gathering saw this video 8 years ago and they were like, what is this weirdo freaking out about?
That shouldn't happen!
Is he crying?
Oh my gosh! Where's my sleeve? Where's my sleeve? I don't have
What do you mean that shouldn't happen? It should happen.
I don't know. Well, this man's opened a ton of
I did
ton of these
Holy mackerel, it's right there!
boosters and old
It's an Alpha
starter
Lotus.
packs. So I don't know what it is that
Holy
is so unusual about this, but maybe
Oh, and a trophy.
for all I know, maybe when you pull a dual land, you don't usually get a Lotus. Like other thing about these guys, and I've seen he has like a newer, he's still posting videos 8 years later. I think he has a newer setup where he films where he has like uncut sheet in the back.
Mhm.
And other serious collectors, they know the order to the cards based on where they sit in those sheets.
Mhm.
So like often they'll predict like what'll be when they open boosters from a whole box. They'll start predicting like once they get to the
Yes,
remaining few, what
yeah,
they're going
once
to
you
pull
open
based on what
some,
else they've already
you
pulled.
can, yeah, they call it mapping. You can like,
Yeah.
see the, where that box is in the like print run basically. And then I even heard you could do based on like the exterior printing on the box, it like doesn't line up perfectly. It's like, how you have like a wrapping paper or wallpaper or something. If there's like, the image is just repeating over and over again.
Mhm.
So wherever they cut it in, like to make those boxes, I read this. I'm not sure if it's really true, but you could then tell like where the box sits in like the production order.
Okay.
So if you have like
Damn.
3 consecutive boxes like that or whatever, I guess, or whatever, you
Yeah.
can figure out. I don't know.
If you were the first one to figure that out, you could
Shush.
make a lot of money. You could have made a lot of money from that. Anyways, I just wanted to bring this up because, this is probably where that Gem Mint Alpha Lotus came from. Not necessarily open boosters, although maybe, who knows? We can see that he's pulled crazy shit for
That's how I feel about it. Like,
decade
I'm not
plus now.
saying it's impossible for a card to have stayed in good condition like all these years. Like there might have been someone who opened stuff and didn't play, put something straight into a binder, or, just didn't see handling and play. But I think for the most part, it's people that, because the stuff back then did see a lot of play and people weren't careful with it.
Yeah, far less likely that it lasted in that condition, opened all these years.
Yeah.
He actually sent these. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I don't know if people realize how, I mean, I guess it's still happening, but like how long it took for people to like take care of cards and use sleeves for cards, like in the dark, like revised. People were playing unsleeved. People were, even later than that, and then you have kind of a phenomenon where like there's maybe like a newer set that people think isn't so, valuable. So they're like, they give it to their little brother or sister to play with, and then they play it without a sleeve. So even though it's into an era where people would have typically been more careful with stuff, maybe it's like little kids who got it.
Yeah, they don't realize, because I've watched some like classic Magic the Gathering games on YouTube from like tournaments in '99, and there's just the amount of comments. Most of the comments are people going like, "Oh my god, I can't believe they're shuffling those duels."
Yeah.
I shuffled Library of Alexandria and a Moat. So like when I bought those cards, Mana Drains, when I bought those cards, at the time they were my most expensive cards. but they were like $20. That was big for me. So almost all the time I played them, I sleeved
You had
them
them in
up.
sleeves, though. I mean,
No, almost all the time, but no, sometimes I did just shuffle them up unsleeved.
really? Why?
They were, I just liked it.
Oh,
I like
just for
rifle.
like tactile. Like,
Yes, I'm serious. I like rifle shuffling my cards. I still want to do that. I still want to go like that. It's
takes
more
you back to a
exciting.
different era for sure.
I
Like
know.
8th graders.
And even let's say I kept buying until like Urza's Saga or whatever, I would have been at that point never playing with my library or my moat unsleeved.
Mm-hmm.
But you best believe I wouldn't have treated my Gaia's Cradle the same way at that point, because I would have never thought that could be $1,000 card. I would have never thought that Urza's Saga cards could be that expensive.
Yeah. We kind of were thinking, all the expensive stuff had already happened. You know what I mean?
We thought we totally missed the boat.
Yeah.
We missed the boat on the biggest stuff, but we were far from totally missing the boat.
Yeah. I had no idea how many, valuable cards they would continue to print for years and years and years and years.
I never realized that Underground Sea would be as expensive as it was, or Tropical Island from Revise would be hundreds of dollars. I just wanted to bring this up because I mentioned it last episode. I couldn't remember what edition the Lotus was. He actually has another video that was a follow-up to this. He sent these out for grading, of course.
Mm-hmm.
This came back as a 9.5, the Lotus.
Wow, nice.
So if he still kept it, the man has a 9.5 Alpha Lotus. He probably, based on the amount of boosters this guy's opened over a decade or more, I don't even know like how many Alpha Lotuses he might have. Maybe this is it. He did freak out when he opened this.
Yeah.
But there was a more recent video I saw him where he opened Mishra's Workshop. They all freaked out too.
Oh, wow.
And the guys freaking out probably all have I know at least one of the guys there has multiple. One of the guys was Rudy. So who knows how many Mishra's Workshop Rudy had.
Yeah.
They still all freak out. But even though I'd probably still freak out.
It's still exciting.
It is.
Plus they're pumping it up for the video.
Yeah, and it's more exciting to pull it out of a pack.
But yeah, it's fun. Everyone likes that feeling, pulling a good card out of a pack. I would love to have been able to experience pulling like a Mox out of a pack. That would.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'd shit my pants. That's the end of the follow-ups, Alex.
Okay.
For this episode. We're going to move on to the official segment 1 of episode 29, where we discuss MTG news or MTG market moves.
Okay.
I had some very brief market things I wanted to touch on today. One was a new champion emerges in Homelands, Alex. I looked up a Homelands card.
What is it?
Don't ask me why. And when I looked up this Homelands card, it was natural something. Or maybe, is it Primal Order? Here's where this is going to be the segment of the podcast where I try to remember what Homelands card I looked up. No, it was Primal Order. During each player's upkeep, Primal Order deals to that player an amount of damage equal to the number of non-basic lands he or she controls. I came across this card, and I was like, oh, this ain't such a bad card from Homelands. I wonder how much it's going for.
Let's see the Homelands version. I want to see.
And it's still cheap because it's Homelands. Primal Order, 2 colorless, 2 green enchantment. During each player's upkeep, Primal Order deals 1 damage to that player for each non-basic land.
I don't think I remember that at all. I don't remember ever seeing it.
Neither do I, but it's pretty good, right?
It's certainly gotten a lot better both with EDH and with the number of non-basic lands.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of stuff.
I'm playing mono green in my mono green pre-modern deck.
Also, for like mono green, or even green with mana fixing through Manimals.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing this. What I mean is this card exists in the color that plays Birds of Paradise or whatever.
Yeah.
So, that's
there are no dual lands in pre-modern, but there's tons of pain lands. There's tons of non-basics like Wastelands, Rishadon Port. There's City of Brass. Almost everybody's deck has non-basics.
Yeah, and same with Commander. So I think like this, since it's each player's, you put this down, and the only thing is in a Commander game, I don't think this would last very long. Like everyone would start targeting it.
You'd be a target, yeah.
It's going to be removal bait.
So,
but I mean, hey,
spike back down about $2. I might pick up a couple because why not? But anyways, when I looked this card up, I went here and I sorted homelands by price. And I was expecting to see didgeridoo. Because I always saw didgeridoo.
Oh, that I didn't even. I thought you were going to tell me that card was the new champion.
It's not. This is just what brought me to
Leeches.
Leeches. I was like,
Leeches.
what in the hell is Leeches,
It's
Alex?
kind of like a meme card.
Look at what Leeches has done.
And,
Down here, shot all the way up.
I remember seeing this in the news a while ago, a couple months ago, because I know there had been like a buyout attempt and a speculation on future poison, and they just came out with new, poison counter cards. So it's obviously spiking in response to that.
So that's what I was thinking. It was a new set. What was the new set that had poison counters? At Phyrexia?
Yeah,
it is.
I think
It's Phyrexia. All will be one.
Because it has that. Was it the something rot zombie, vine rot zombie, or I
don't know.
What that card is now
I'm not
already.
familiar with any of the Phyrexia
Vine rot priest.
cards.
Priest.
I know there's that chick that wears that goofy hat on her head.
Rot something priest. I've forgotten it now. Rot priest.
But I always think this is funny when this happens. There's a card that just nobody cared about all for 20 years. Like you said, there was obviously some kind of buyout attempt here, but it came right back down to like $1 or $2, and then it's just gone nuts. $2.
Venerated rot priest, Steve. That's
venerated rot priest. $2 to $22. Get out your cards. This is, if you had a homeland sitting around, get out your cards. Get rid of your leeches. Now's the time.
Now's the time.
1 colorless, 2 white sorcery. Target player loses all poison counters. Leeches deals 1 damage to that player for each poison counter removed in this way. There's probably no older card to get rid of poison counters. I'm assuming maybe.
I don't remember ever seeing any.
No. You would think that if a new set has focused on poison counters, they also have printed cards that give you ways to remove those poison counters. So I don't know what's in those new sets, but from old sets, this is it, as far as I can remember. Mm-hmm. Nobody ever played anything poison related.
No. And I mean, even just a couple months ago, like the consensus I was seeing was that, people were laughing at this as a spec. They were calling it like a meme spec, and they were saying the card's just not that good. Even if something else gets printed, it's still just not that good. But I don't know if the stuff they've brought out now is good enough to change people's minds on that, or if this is just people, wildly speculating.
It could still be, but hey, if you got in early to the speculation, you 10x in six
money.
Months. Pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Another brief note, Alex. When I saw this crazy spike, it just brought back to mind some other crazy spikes that we've talked about recently. Earthbind. Remember Earthbind? Remember what happened with Earthbind? Alex?
And I've seen this recently too. I know what you're going to say, I think.
I wanted to say to you, have you checked in on it?
It's back down. It's way back down.
If you had FOMO for Earthbind,
yeah,
when it 10x'd in a week, you can still pick up those revised copies that you don't actually want.
Too many revised Earthbinds to
not sustainable. What happened? Has the unlimited come down too? Slower.
Mm-hmm.
Slower. Yeah. It's easier to sustain a buyout in unlimited. And of course, the earlier you go back in sets, the easier it is to sustain that jump in price. But revised, there's just so much in the market.
Yeah, people are going to be pulling these out.
That's all. I just had two.
But I had noticed that too. I was like, oh, I dropped a lot quickly. Dropped way back down.
And the FOMO is real. I didn't buy any revised Earthbinds when it shot up through the moon like this, but I did think to myself, oh man, I don't have any Earthbinds.
I moved one from a part in my box to a different part in my box because of the change in price. I did that.
But now that I see it back down, I'm like, oh, I don't have any Earthbinds. I still think I don't want any Earthbinds.
No, I'll be fine without them, I think.
Okay. Before we move on to the main segment of today's show, Alex, part 2 of the Enter the Battlefield Creatures from Visions. Did you have anything you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, this was just a little thing I saw on MTG Stocks. They do they have little articles, and a lot of the time they're pretty good. And the thing they had up, let's see here, it was hidden gems relating to Phyrexia All Will Be One.
Hidden gems. Where do I go? Do I go to
go to MTG Stocks? Just go to the main site, or you go. I'm not sure if the analytics will take.
I meant
it.
news. Is it so? Would it be here?
Yeah, go down just a little bit. It's one more down. That one.
Hidden Joms.
Hidden Joms. And he mentioned 2 cards that I actually have already. Not a lot of them or anything, but I got a Stronghold Assassin. I'm not sure if I got it out of like a bulk stack or if I just ordered it as part of like ordering a bunch of dumb commons.
Mm-hmm.
But check out also look at the Stronghold version.
From Stronghold, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this art on this one's so much better.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That guy means business. I think actually, Steve, I might have picked this up if it wasn't from a bulk stack. The reason I bought it might have been for the flavor text on it. The assassin sees only throats and hears only heartbeats.
Vicious.
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 But he's actually not. I don't hate this card. You know, if you compare it at least to old cards, like compared to a Royal Assassin, you know, he's like a different niche Royal Assassin. Plus, he's 2/1, so you can attack with him if you want to.
Not a bad sack outlet. I mean, there's lots of sack outlets.
Then that's
but if you want a sack outlet,
like,
this isn't a bad one. Yeah.
Use this to sacrifice things that I want to get in my, you know.
Can you sacrifice himself? Should be able to, right? Tap, sacrifice him to destroy target non-black creature.
Oh man, you always have these questions, Steve. Sure, I'll bite on that. Sure.
On our kitchen tables, yes. There we go.
I'll look into sacrifice a little bit, but I don't see. Seems like that would work.
They kept the flavor text for the newer version, but nah, this just don't hit the same, Alex.
No, that's weird. I'm not sure. That's weird. Stronghold Assassin is a weird looking person in this.
It doesn't even look like a person or even a demon of any type. It looks like a golem sort of character, like an artifact creature.
Some sort of weird vision guy from Marvel. Lady.
Well, what did they say? I didn't even see what they said about Stronghold.
The gist with both of these cards basically is that errata has changed their creature type, so now they are Phyrexian, which means they will be affected by things that affect Phyrexian tribal creatures.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there.
And the next one down was Phyrexian Infiltrator.
I love this art.
Yeah, this is neat art. I was trying to figure out what's going on in the art.
Well, these look like Lador elves, right?
Yeah, and I think, this guy is the infiltrator, and he's like made one of them disappear, and now is he gonna start to look like one of them? Like shrink down and become one? Or
it sounds like that. Or maybe he already did. He appeared to be one of them.
Oh, he's turning back.
They have their backs turned.
Maybe.
Now he's morphing back into his original state. And that's why the helmet is fallen and the sword is fallen. And he's going to attack them from behind.
Yeah, maybe. Interesting.
He's already infiltrated.
Yeah, but this is cool.
Exchange control of Phyrexian Infiltrator and target creature. Okay, so he's a control magic on a stick.
Yeah, and you can do some interesting tricks with him too. Actually, I looked it up.
Does this describe any of what you're going to say?
Yeah. Okay.
This little blurb here.
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay, there you go.
I'll let Gatherer explain. If you control this card and another creature, you can use this card's ability and target the creature you control. Yes, it doesn't say exchange. It doesn't say exchange control of Phyrexian Infiltrator with an opponent's creature.
Right.
Okay, well, I'm not. Let me keep reading. I'm confused right now, just after the first sentence about what exactly you would do with it. You can target a creature you control. Why would you want to do that? I don't know yet. Keep reading, Steve. You can then use this card's ability again and target a creature your opponent controls.
It's about the order they resolve.
The second usage resolves first. Oh my God, Alex. We're doing stack stuff too.
This is fun.
The second usage resolves first, and you get your opponent's creature in exchange for this one. Okay, so you can. Okay, so if you have enough mana, you can do this multiple times, and if you do it in the right order, you can exchange an opponent's creature for a creature you control that is not Phyrexian Infiltrator.
Correct. Yes.
The first use then resolves and swaps your other creature for the Infiltrator, so you get it back.
Yeah.
The net effect is that you can swap any creature you have for any of theirs if you can pay this ability twice. That's the key. Note that your opponent does get the chance to use the infiltrator if they have the mana in between your two usages and can mess you up. So if they have blue or a way to generate blue, then
Yeah. So it's not like the most
screw
amazing
yourself.
combo or anything, but it's interesting. And
It's fun.
I think what's cool about this card too is that you exchange other than the fact that they can use its ability back against you, the exchange would be permanent. Like if this leaves play, then they don't really have a way to get their creature back.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything about that.
Yeah. So I like that. Like control magic can get disenchanted, but if you do this and then maybe you like swords to plowshares the infiltrator when they have it or whatever, now you keep their creature forever.
Invasion, just this one printing in Invasion.
Yeah.
Why was this brought up in this article? Just because it's a Phyrexian and he was highlighting some Phyrexian?
Yeah, both of these I think are because they now are called Phyrexian in their errata. He's called
minion.
Creature Phyrexian minion now.
He used to just be minion. He always should have been Phyrexian. He's a Phyrexian infiltrator.
Of course.
Sabo Savok, quote, "It is Yawgmoth's will incarnate, an efficient machine that replaces inefficient flesh."
Can't argue with that.
Okay. Alex.
Steve.
Time to start our primary segment of the day. Segment 2, part 2 of the Enter the Battlefield Creatures of Visions. Alex, now it's time to turn our attention back again to Visions. In particular, back again to the creatures with Enter the Battlefield effects.
All right.
This time around, the last group we're going to go through, most of these I did not play back in the day. But one I did play often. That's the one that I'm going to start with. This is probably the only one that gets heavy play today also. And by heavy play, I don't even know if it gets heavy play. At least heavier play.
I think it does. I still see it in deck lists. I mean, I'm not an expert on this, but I do see it in deck lists.
This would do work in a pre-modern Pauper, which nobody plays, but people should play. Man of War, Visions. It is a common, first printed in Visions, printed many, many times, so kids these days probably know it. Casting cost, 2 colorless, 1 blue, summon jellyfish. Maybe the first jellyfish in the game.
Might have been.
Maybe the best jellyfish in the game. I don't know.
Find out if there are any jellyfish in Mirage. That would be the key.
It is 2/2. When Man of War comes into play, you return target creature to owner's hand. It's a 2/2 creature-specific boomerang.
Yeah.
It's good I like it to slow your opponent down if you're playing some kind of tempo deck. And I'm imagining like a green-blue deck. I know this is a deck that I never played often back in the day. But I know that at some point after Visions put together, I messed around multiple times with like a green-blue deck that had lots of Mana Wars, lots of orangutans, and some other destruction. I would like to build a deck where you just basically try to establish like some small efficient creatures on the board, and then you focus most of your attention after that
on removal,
on bouncing your opponent's creatures, making them play things more than once, removing some of their land, just slowing them down.
Yeah, and I've been
enough so that you can keep getting your stuff through.
I've been messing with having on my list a like an unsummony type deck as well, and I wasn't really planning on putting green into it, but yeah, I mean this definitely is a top contender for a deck like that because it gives you a creature and it does the boomerang effect. I'm surprised that this card only has 1 blue in its mana cost. Boomerang's a 2 blue spell.
Yeah.
When they printed this, they could have easily made it blue 1.
Yeah.
But it was definitely an important card back in the day. People played it a lot.
I still like it. It's got a 4.333 score on Gatherer. Current market price, cheap as hell.
Yeah, I have a few of these still because I recognized it back then and kept them, safe in in with cards that I wanted to save.
Very playable. I like that you can use it to bounce your own creatures too. So like it complements the other Enter the Battlefield creatures great in this set because you can bounce your own things back and then play them again.
Reuse their enter effect. You could do it with things that have like a bad upkeep cost or something like that you want to get rid of for a minute. I like that idea because like people avoid a lot of the upkeepy creatures, but to build around that might be fun, and then you get to use some creatures that you don't normally use, and they're like big Timmy fatties.
I don't know if you remember when we first started doing this podcast, we first started getting back into Magic, and I was looking into building decks, and I wanted to find some cheap creatures to build decks with. I bought some Mana Wars. I bought some Enter the Battlefield creatures and visions. I also found this card, and I think we featured it in our first episode as like what I thought was a sweet pre-modern creature for under $1. I still believe that it's sweet, but now since I've come across more, I understand why people don't play it, because there are other creatures with the same casting cost that are better. But I'm pull this up because you were talking cumulative upkeep. It has a cumulative upkeep. Uktabi.
Oh, yeah, okay.
2 colorless, 2 green, cumulative upkeep of a green, 5/4. I messed around when I was first building some decks. I was like, Mana War, Uktabi Efreet, Mana War, Boomerang. Not a bad card. But now, since I learned about Blastoderm, and since I learned about whatever the beast is that I have in a deck that I just can't remember the name of right now, Ravenous Baloth, there's lots of green creatures that have been printed since then that are 2 green, 2 colorless, don't have a cumulative upkeep, and also have some cool ability.
That's the thing with green. There's so many like 4 casting cost creatures,
Yeah.
that are good.
But yeah, here's an example of a cumulative upkeep creature that you can bounce back. Mana War, it doesn't say target, but is this still considered a targeted effect since you have to? It does say target.
So what are you talking about?
I answered my question. Even sometimes I don't read the card. Sometimes I do read the card, but it still doesn't register. Or it does only very briefly, and then it leaves my mind. I have to reread it. Anyways, forget about what I was going to say.
I want to use this with demonic hordes.
Oh, I moved the frig. Demonic hordes.
That's probably not even a good idea though, because it's expensive to bring back out again. I don't want to have to keep resummoning my demonic hordes. I'd just rather pay the upkeep.
Tap, destroy 1 land, pay 3 black during your upkeep, or the hordes becomes tapped and you lose a land of opponent's choice. Okay, so you don't want to pay.
Bad idea. Never mind. I'll just keep my demonic hordes and pay the upkeep.
Terrible idea. If you wanted a revised demonic hordes, it shot up in 2021. It's back to its 2019 prices now. So
I got one.
Jump on.
I have one.
Hell to the yeah, Alex. Second Visions Enter the Battlefield creature that we're going to talk about today. This is one that I also know I definitely put in some decks, but I think I probably just removed them after playing it for a little while because I feel like it's good, but I don't know that it's really ever good enough compared to everything else that's out there.
I have 1 or 2 of these around somewhere.
I bought some when I started buying cards again.
Oh, did you pick some up recently?
Yeah, I bought a couple. I bought my orangutans. I bought my Mana War. I bought my Necrotals. 2 colorless, 2 black. 2/1 first strike. It is an uncommon, first printed in Visions. Again, printed many times, so the kids these days know the Necrotol.
Oh, how's it?
It's a terror on a stick. When Necrotol comes into play, bury target non-artifact, non-black creature. You really need to hold this until your opponent has a creature, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, otherwise you're getting a 4 casting cost Elvish Archer.
Yeah.
That isn't even an elf.
Gatherer likes it.
Fudge is a Necrotol.
I wonder what it is now. Definitely not a Necrotol.
Yeah. I wonder if there's anything that affects Necrotols.
4.384 on Gatherer. Current market price also cheap as hell. I don't hate it. I like it. In a draft environment,
no, I don't hate it.
Got a lot of play. Yeah.
It's a creature human assassin now.
Okay. So it doesn't even really
assassin deck.
I was gonna say it doesn't really even fit into like a great tribal deck. Really. Is there anything built around assassins? I doubt it.
Now there will be, Steve.
Yeah. Necrotol. Decent. I know I played back in the day, never really fell in love with it. The next one.
I can see it being, kind of useful. Like first strike is nice, but
it's the 4 mana for what it does. I mean, it's a terror plus an Elvis Archer and mana cost too.
Yeah, it's
the same.
It's a terror. So it's economic as far as like number of cards, but that could also come back to bite you.
What if there's nothing in play? Can you just play this?
Yeah, sure.
You can, right? Okay.
Yeah.
What if, do you have to target something when these come into play? What if you have an Elvish Archer out and your opponent has no creatures? And you play your Necrotal without killing your Elvish Archer?
Hold on. Nothing happens if there are no non-artifact, non-black creatures on the battlefield when Necrotal enters the battlefield. But if there is one, you must target it, even if it's a creature you control.
Yeah. So really, you do got to hold it. Or you got to not care about paying 4 mana for.
Or if it's the only creature down, if there are no creatures down yet, you could do that and just pay 4 mana, but that sucks.
It's not great. Not great for one.
I mean, if you're playing black and artifact creatures, it won't affect your creatures. So
That's true.
Again, still like 4 mana for I don't know.
I know, not great.
I'm going back and forth on this one, Steve. I'm going back and forth on it.
I still feel the same way that I felt about it originally. It's okay. Probably
destroy
great.
Creature for 2 is good. I don't
probably
know.
Great in a draft environment, but I just don't think I'd put it into any constructed environment.
I definitely play it in a draft environment. I think that seems a good idea.
I'm sure Mirage Block draft. If I pulled this, I'd I'd be like, hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Next enter a battlefield creature from Visions, Alex, is one that I definitely did not play. Venomancer. Venomancer. Do you remember Venomancer?
I remember the art.
It's an uncommon. First printed in Visions, reprints in Time Shifted, and Dominaria Remastered. Who the hell knows why? Why did they choose to reprint this one in Dominaria Remastered? I wonder. Casting cost 2 colorless, 1 blue. Summon Sorcerer. It is a 0/1. When Venomancer comes into play, return 3 basic lands you control to owner's hand, or bury Venomancer. So if you just really hate having your islands out in play and you want to put them back in your hand, you can play this guy. Tap. Return Venomancer to owner's hand. Bury target creature and put a sheep token into play under the control of the creature's controller. Treat this token as an 0/1 creature. Is there any reason ever to play this card seriously? Or do you just play it because you think it's funny? I'm trying to figure that out in earnest. That's an earnest question.
It's such a weird card how it does like 2 very different, like the cost that it has is very specific and weird, and then its effect is very specific and weird, and they're not really related to each other either.
And its effect is so costly. Like you have to put your mana back into your hand. You can only use his effect once without putting him back into your hand.
Yeah, and you have to wait a turn to use him because he taps.
Yes.
So it's like, what if there's something that's already down that you want to remove, and you have 3 mana, this is going to be a better way to do it. If you get him down earlier, then you can, then it's maybe better. But then you also have to play around the 3 basic land thing. You have to have some like hook in your deck for like wanting to get land back in your hand.
Yeah, or the ability to like put down more than 1 land.
Well, as soon as I read it, I thought of Nantuko Cultivator that I was talking about last week, where you can discard cards from your hand.
Venomancer plus Nantuko Cultivator deck. Venomancer Psychotog deck. Anyways, but again, those 2 decks that I named, I'm sure there's better cards than a Venomancer to put in your deck. I feel like this is just a card that would only ever get play just for funsies. Which is totally fine to play for funsies, but little note about a Venomancer. A Venomancer is a tribute to the Blizzard computer game Warcraft, in which the spell Polymorph turns opposing units into sheep.
That's correct.
The game was an R&D favorite during the Visions design period. I have vague memories of turning things into sheep and playing Warcraft.
Yeah, in playing World of Warcraft,
there's an Venomancer, right?
Well, there are like the mage class has a polymorph spell that you can use on monsters and other players, and it defaults to turning them into a sheep. Later on, you can get some like, vanity progression items that like allow you to turn them into pigs or something instead because it's funny. But yeah, that's in World of Warcraft too.
Yeah, that's where it came from. The card started as a goof. I feel like it would only ever be played as a goof.
It's a rating of 3.01 on
Which is
Gatherer.
way too high. This just has to be because people think it's funny because of World of Warcraft, right? Right?
I don't know. Okay, first comment is landfall and Asuza lost but seeking anyone? Question mark. So apparently this guy thinks there's a combo for it.
Ah, damn it.
Damn it.
Look at me putting my foot in my mouth. Landfall. There's no card named Landfall. That must be a theme.
Yeah, I think it's like a type of strategy.
What's the Asuza? How do I spell that?
Azusa. She's a green monk, and you may play two additional lands every turn.
Lost but seeking?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I've seen this card.
Lost but seeking. Adorable. Legendary human monk. 2 colorless, 1 green. You may pay 2 additional lands on each of your turns. Okay, so still.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't do it on its own. That's something else that we don't know about landfall that is important here, maybe.
So landfall, yeah, there has to be also. I get my assumption is, and I've never actually seen a landfall deck. No. I've heard people say landfall. My assumption is that there are all sorts of cards that you can put in a deck. You could build a deck around cards that are triggered in some way when you play a land.
Yes, and you are exactly correct.
You want to continuously play as many lands as you can, put them back in your hand if you can, play them again to trigger these effects.
Okay, here you go. Landfall is an ability word, which signals triggered abilities that respond to a land entering the battlefield under control of the player with the landfall card. Landfall was introduced in Zendikar.
Okay, we have not gotten there yet. We're far from Zendikar. Are you seeing a list of any big landfall cards?
Not yet. They show an example. Cards? One is, I don't think this is a good creature, Plated Geopede. He's a 1/1 insect with first strike landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, Plated Geopede gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Okay, so there's some cards that let you like pump creatures by playing land. I'm sure there are probably somewhere like, I don't know if landfall always does this. It always gives them +2/+2, or if it.
That would be boring. Well,
I don't think that would be the case.
Not horrible, but more boring than I was imagining it in my mind. I was imagining it just being like a general term for triggered ability, and the specific cards that had landfall would not all, but there would be many different things that were triggered. But maybe not. We'll get there in 14 years once we make our way to Zendikar. Plated Geopede, 9 cents if you want to pick up your Plated Geopedes. On to the next enter the battlefield creature of visions, Alex. This is one that I came across.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I wasn't done.
Okay.
I was just finding out the answer to the question. Sorry. No, there are cards that do different things. This creature, Spitfire, Lagak. It's a lizard landfall. Whenever a Spitfire Lagak deals 1 damage to each opponent.
Zendikar Rising. Whenever
they
enters
have different effects from the landfall ability, which is
okay.
All right. Anyway, so go back to what you were saying. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Make a Spitfire Lagak, Plated Geopede.
There's a cool art for that Spitfire too.
Lost but seeking a Venomancer deck.
I guess.
The next card, Alex. This is the one that I came across like a month or so ago and made me want to talk to you about the Enter the Battlefield Creatures of Visions. This one is unusual. It's one of those cards that seems terrible when you first read it. And then that makes me think maybe there's something that could be done with this. But then I think about it and I think, no, it's just a terrible card. I think it just might be a terrible card. And if for some reason it's a reserve list, maybe it was so terrible that they didn't want to print it again. Maybe there's some other reason that they made a reserve list that I'm just not thinking of. It is Phyrexian Marauder. This is one that I had no memory of at all from back in the day. If you started asking me to name the Enter the Battlefield creatures, I would have been like Uktabi, Manowar, Necrotal. That's all I remember. Phyrexian Marauder is definitely not anywhere in my mind. It is an artifact creature. It is a rare. It is reserve list. It is 0/0 with an X casting cost.
Okay.
I came across this because I was looking for 0 casting cost artifacts. Now, this is not a 0 casting cost artifact, but somehow I came across it in that search. Phyrexian Marauder comes into play with X +1/+1 counters on it. So if you pay 5 for it, it's a 5/5.
Mm-hmm.
You pay 7 for it, 7/7. You pay 1 for it, it's a 1/1. Phyrexian Marauder cannot block. Okay, whatever. You're like, okay,
whatever.
I get a big mana dump. I make this huge. I play my mana drain. I make this 12/12. Who cares if it can't block? I'm using it to stomp. Next part of the card, Phyrexian Marauders cannot attack unless you play 1 colorless for each +1/+1 counter on it. I felt like I could do something with this. I just wasn't sure what yet. Thought about it more. Now I feel like I can't do anything with it, and potentially nobody can do anything with it. It was printed over 20 years ago now, 25 years ago, 26 years ago. No one's ever figured out a way to break it, so maybe it's just
rating of 1.5.
It's one of the lowest rated cards I've ever seen on Gatherer, so nobody's thought of anything to do with it. Has a current market price of $2.02. Somebody tried to spike it at some point. It was up to $5. It will probably be a target of reserve list buyouts at some point because it's reserve list and it's cheap, so people will just start buying it. But is there anything you can do with this card?
I'm looking at what people are talking about. I don't know.
I feel like the best thing I could possibly do with this card is to either pay 1 for it on turn 1 to get a 1/1 that I can then attack for 1 with and pay 1 mana every time I do that. Or like that's the best thing I can do with it. Or I get a big mana dump, put it out huge, and then I fling it.
Okay.
But there's lots of things you can fling. And I don't think fling decks are any good.
This says no longer a staple in Flash Hulk decks. I'm not sure exactly what a Flash Hulk deck is, but
I've heard about Protean Hulk. I've heard about Flash. Flash is a Mirage card that we knew about, but we just never played at all. And is banned in some formats now. 1 colorless, 1 blue, instant, put a creature card from your hand into play. So this was like the first thing that allowed you to essentially play creature cards on your opponent's turn. I can't think of anything that allowed you to do that before this came into the game in Mirage. Winding Canyons is a land that allows you to flash creatures into play. You may pay its mana cost reduced by up to 2 if you don't sacrifice it. I don't know what it was about Flash and Protean Hulk that made it like a thing. I don't remember what Protean Hulk is. We haven't made it that far yet. Sorry, viewers. It's in a new border. I might not even be thinking of it. I might be naming the wrong card. So let me.
It might not be the right Hulk. Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah,
when it dies, search your library for any number of creatures with total converted mana cost of 6 or less and put them onto the battlefield.
So I don't know. I'm not sure. I shouldn't even brought that up.
For this, it says if a card in your library has X, X is considered to be 0. Okay, so that might be part of what's going on here. But I don't.
Okay.
I still don't understand.
X is considered 0. But then you'd pay 0 for this, and what? It would be a 0/0?
Yeah.
Well, I don't understand the rules. But that's what you saw in Gatherer. So it's a 1/5. Somebody on Gatherer says Flash Hulk. I think fling. But again, you could play fling in a Dreadnought deck instead. Get the Dreadnought on play, attack, trample, and then fling it. And you won't need 12 mana to get the Dreadnought to be 12/12. You need 12 mana. You need 10 mana to get them 10/10. And then you can't attack with them unless you pay another 10.
Yeah, I don't.
It doesn't trample. Terrible.
This is part of an instant win that can be used before your opponent's first turn. Not that fun outside of that, though. But they don't tell you what it is. Frustrating. So there's barely something on the first turn you can do with this, but maybe like you said, you do. Well, I don't know. No, I don't know. Sorry.
a first turn win, so maybe this will spike some point like crazy in the future. Maybe we should buy our Phyrexian. Establish your Phyrexian Marauder positions now, Alex.
I guess.
If it was actually a viable turn one win strategy, I would be surprised that the card was still $2.
Right.
Because I can't think of, imagine a card being reserve list, so never again printed, and being all at the same time a viable turn win run strategy, turn one win strategy. Not everybody plays those types of decks. I don't really ever play those type of decks that can combo out a win on turn one. They're just not what excites me. It's not Magic the Gathering as Richard Garfield intended, although he did print Channel Fireball. So let me revise that statement. I never even wanted to play Channel Fireball back in the day. But that being said, people do like to put together potential turn one win combo decks. I'd be surprised if there was any reserve list card that was actually a component of a viable turn one win that is just like this cheap. Maybe this will be a follow-up to the next episode.
Yeah, I'll try to look into it a little bit. And
you know what? If that turn one win combo involves Flash in any way, like I said, I know Flash is... Well, Flash is now... What'd you say?
I said you win for guessing it.
Well, one, I was going to say Flash is now banned in a lot of formats.
Yeah.
But also, that wouldn't make sense, because what you said turn one win before your opponent even does anything. Like, if you're on the draw...
Yeah, and that's what I started to say, and then I realized that I was going to be like, oh, maybe it's for, with Flash, like you said, but it says that comment said before they even go, so I don't know.
Yeah, so Flash wouldn't be involved in that anyway.
Oh, well, we'll find out.
Look this up for next episode.
Yeah.
What is the turn one win combo? I'm writing down my notes. Viewers are watching me write down my notes for the next episode. In the next episode, we don't talk about it because we haven't figured it out yet. Forget about it.
Forget about it. So chill to the next episode.
But the Phyrexian Marauder, this one confused me when I came across it. And it got me excited for a second. I was like, oh, maybe I could figure something out. And I just have not been able to figure anything out. Very bizarre. It's a very bizarre card. Alex, the final, what I believe is the final enter the battlefield creature of Visions.
Okay.
I think we covered them all after we cover this one. Perhaps I'm missing one, but I don't think I am. Shrieking Drake.
Shrieking Drake.
It is a common, first and only printing in Visions, not reserved for list, but never been reprinted. Establish your positions now. When Shrieking Drake decks become the next big thing, this one's going to 10x in the course of 2 months. 1 blue, summon Drake, 1/1 flying. When Shrieking Drake comes into play, return a creature you control to owner's hand. I don't hate it. It's a limited mana war. It doesn't do the best thing that mana war does, in my opinion, which is potentially bounce your opponent's creatures.
Mm-hmm.
But if you build this in a deck where you have lots of creatures that you might want to play more than once, like mana war, for instance, because they trigger something when they enter the battlefield, it's not terrible. I also like 1/1 flyers for 1 blue. I don't know.
Yeah, why. I mean, I was going to say he's very,
I don't know why I like 1/1 flyers for 1 blue. I just do.
No, I was actually looking at this card, and I'm sure I have some in my Visions section because I'm pretty sure I recognize the artwork, and it's something I've gone past a million times probably because I see that negative effect on it, and I didn't think about like using it as an advantage. And now that I do, I like this card a lot. Maybe. I think I like it a lot now.
You choose the creature to return on resolution of the triggered ability. This is not targeted. Not targeted.
Okay. So you could use this on a shrouded creature.
Exactly. So this is what I was gonna ask that about Mana War earlier, but it said targeted because I was like, what if you play your Blastoderm? Right? Blastoderm has Shroud.
Mm-hmm.
And the Blastoderm really only does work for so many turns.
Oh, okay.
Because he has Fading. So this is the problem. When I first thought about building like a deck that I could bounce things back and forth, I was like, oh, I put the Blastoderm in there instead of the Octavia
Yeah,
free.
this would work great with
You
that.
can't do that because the Blastoderm can't be targeted. The Manowar targets.
I was
Shrieking
thinking,
Drake does not target.
yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. I like this for Ornithopter Unstable Mutation deck.
Yeah, same kind of idea as the Blastoderm fading thing.
Yeah. Bounce my Ornithopter, put it back down again for free. No problem.
Dominant old men magic archetype.
Yeah.
Ornithopters, unstable mutation.
Yeah.
Shrieking Drake. So I don't hate this card. Not bad. I like it now even more that I like it even more now that I know that it's not targeted, so it can.
Yeah, that's a neat thing. I
Shroud.
didn't even think to look at, like, I wasn't paying attention to that.
3.735 on Gatherer. Current market price of 0.067. Now 0.68, 68 cents. This when people catch on to this Blastoderm combo, this is going to go to the moon. So everybody should probably establish their positions now. Somebody tried to spike it in 2020, early 2020. Even before the pandemic was a thing. This was the pre-pandemic attempted buyout that collapsed while everything else was going up and Magic together.
Yeah, why did this spike? That's crazy. This is a common too.
Yeah, I don't know what was happening. What was I going to say? We asked this about the Necrotol. If there's no card in play, if there's no creature in play, can you still play it? The answer was yes.
With this thing, it might have to do it to itself, right?
That's what I don't know. How do I know the answer to that?
I don't know the answer to that.
Son of a bitch.
There's no ruling on it here on Gatherer.
I know that's why I originally went to Gatherer, and I found this statement that it was not a targeted effect. So that got me excited for a different reason. But when we came to Gatherer, didn't it specifically tell us something about the Necrotol in those situations? The
thing with the Necrotol is, though, that it's black, so it can't affect itself.
Nothing happens if there is no non-artifact and non-black creatures on the battlefield. That's true. When you have a triggered ability that's triggered when you enter the battlefield, is the creature on the battlefield when it's triggered, or is it triggered before? The creature has to be on the battlefield because it has to enter the battlefield for the effect to be triggered.
Yeah, errata changes it to battlefield here. It says, when Shrieking Drake enters the battlefield, return a creature you control to its owner's hand. So, yeah, I'm guessing if there were no creatures down when you played this, you would have to...
It's got to keep coming back, yeah.
Bounce itself.
So basically, you got to use it as a 1 mana boomerang that only functions on your own creatures.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
I mean, not terrible.
I don't think so. Like I said, you just have, obviously, it's not for every deck. You certainly have to build around it, but it can be fun. Someone in the comments here liked it. They said, breaking the game since Mirage Block.
I have no memory of that happening.
No, but I also wasn't just that like super in tune with like what was going on at
tournaments
either. So.
We didn't play competitive. So yeah, I really don't know. I didn't know anything about what cards were dominant in tournament formats really back then. I'm learning more about that now that I'm getting back into the game and reading about some of these old cards and learning more about what it is that was winning tournaments back then. I don't see this guy printed in any World Championship decks, though. We pull up a lot of these cards. Like, for instance, let's pull up the Utabi. This is a guy that was doing work in Mirage Block. I love the Utabi. I talk about him every episode. Look, World Championship deck, World Championship deck, World Championship deck.
Yeah.
This guy was in the World Championship winning decks of the time. I see nothing for the Drake.
Huh.
So, excuse me, sir. What exactly was this breaking?
Excuse me, sir.
I don't know if I trust you.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can trust that comment. This says another piece of the infinite Allurin combo with Animar.
I don't know what Animar is. And I know
Animar.
of Allurin, but I can't remember what it does off the top of my head. What's
Allurin
Animar?
lets you play creatures for free. It's an enchantment. Any player may play creatures of 3 or less casting cost as though they had flash.
Okay. Whenever he or she could play an instant and without
Yeah.
paying its casting cost.
And Animar, Soul of Elements, is a 3 casting cost legendary elemental. Whenever you cast a creature spell, he gets +1/+1 counter, and creatures you cast cost 1 less to cast for each +1/+1 counter on him. Okay, so
you could just keep playing your Drake. Is that what that's telling me? Because you don't. Oh no. Wait.
yeah, sure, why not? Yeah,
Yeah,
you play the
could.
Drake. He gets a +1/+1 counter.
The Drake comes back to your hand. You play the Drake again. Right? It says return a creature you control to owner's
I
hand. It
guess you
doesn't
can
say
just
you can't
choose
beat
to
its
do it
Drake.
to itself if you don't, even if you don't have to.
You choose the
This
creature
is, you
to
can also
return.
use Mana War for that combo. So
Okay.
interesting.
Hot diggity damn.
Learn something new every day.
Hot diggity damn. What was the last card you mentioned, Alex? I didn't hear the name of the creature. Tell me how to spell the name of the creature.
Animar, Animar.
Soul of Elements.
Mhm.
New border, I'm sure. Oh, yes. Double Masters reprint. Printed in Commander for the first time, I guess. Yeah, new border. Haven't made it here yet. 1 blue, 1 red, 1 green. Weird. Protection from white and black. Kind of neat.
Yeah.
People loved it in 2018. That was its peak.
He's definitely combo material because, like, he gets bigger for creatures being cast, and every time it happens, creatures now cost less to cast.
Yeah.
You know? So
Yeah.
I'm sure there's tons of stuff you could do with this.
This seems like something that I might want to put into a deck if we ever make it to the new border stuff.
Yeah, I would
'Cause
like
love
this is a
creatures.
card I would definitely like. It looks like it would be fun to play.
Yeah. That's when I bust out the Drakes. Although in Commander, you only get 1 Drake. Anywho. That was the last of the Enter the Battlefield creatures and visions, Alex. I think that was it. I think I covered them all. I could always be missing some, but I don't think I am. If I missed any, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Alex, it's time for the final segment. Our final segment today is the same as what our final segment has been all year. It may be the final segment forever, as long as we keep doing this podcast. The Old Men Magic Commander Corner. This is the segment where Alex and I continue to build our first ever Commander decks. We are building old frame only Commander decks because that's really all we know about at this time. They're going to be terrible. What else do I have to say about them, Alex? I am building a creature-based deck that I learned is now a Naya deck. Red, green, white, primarily green. Alex is building a group hug deck. I got a big reveal, Alex, today.
Oh.
For my deck. What am I doing here? I got to exit out of this. I named my deck, Alex. I'm revealing the name of my deck. My deck, Alex, is called the Pump.
Is that why I saw an Arnold Schwarzenegger thing on your
Alex,
screen when you removed things around earlier?
Alex, I'm going to play to you. I'm going to play to you the inspiration for this deck's name. I want to pull up a clip.
No, I definitely know what you're going to play.
I want to pull up a clip that I first saw when I was a teenager and made a major impression on me.
Yes, I think we saw this together, perhaps.
I thought so too. I think we might have watched this documentary for the first time together. It is from the documentary Pumping Iron, which chronicles Arnold's glory days and his major showdown with what's his face? Lou Ferrigno.
More on that later.
Lou Ferrigno. Yes, I might be making a video around Lou Ferrigno at some point. Lou Ferrigno, he was the up and comer Arnold had won the Mr. Olympia, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, I don't
5?
remember how many
I
times.
don't know.
He was going for his final Mr. Olympia title. And Lou was coming to snatch that title from out of his hands. So they followed Arnold for this documentary. I'm going to play this clip for everybody right now. For those of you just listening to audio, we are watching Arnold in the gym getting his pump on. This is prime Arnold. He's fully muscled. He's sweating. It's intense.
Yeah, I think he won 6 of them.
Okay. Sounds right.
All of this music.
Should be our theme music for the show. I'm gonna carry a recorder with me, and every time I sit down to play the pump, I'm gonna play that song.
The greatest feeling you can get in a gym, or the most satisfying feeling you can get in the gym, is the pump. Let's say you train your biceps. Blood is rushing into your muscles, and that's what we call the pump.
Let's say I play a giant growth on a Lanor elf, Alex. It goes from 1-1 to 4-4. That's what I call the pump.
This is the weirdest segment you've ever done.
Let's say I tap my Pendelhaven to make my Scavenger Folk 2-2. Also called the pump.
Your muscles
Continue.
get a really tight feeling, like your skin is going to explode any minute. You know, it's really tight. It's like somebody blowing air into your muscle. It just blows up, and it feels different. It feels fantastic. It's as satisfying to me as coming is, you know, as having sex with a woman and coming.
Alex, do you know how satisfying it is to
Video
play?
flagged on all carrying services.
Do you know how satisfying it is to play 1 colorless and 1 green mana, to then tap my Stampede Driver, discard a card from my hand, and give all of my creatures +1/+1 and trample until end of turn? Some might compare that to the feeling of being with a beautiful woman and coming. Let's continue.
So can you believe how much I am in heaven? I'm like getting the feeling of coming in the gym. I'm getting the feeling of coming at home. I'm getting the feeling of coming backstage when I pump up, when I pose out in front of 5,000 people. I get the same feeling. So I'm coming day and night. I mean, it's terrific, right? So, you know, I'm in heaven.
Alex, I am in heaven. Alex, that is how I felt when I trampled
So
you
weird.
with my 7-11 Llanowar elf that I enchanted with a Spirit Guide, a Rancor, and a Rancor. I was in heaven. And that is how I feel when I play the pump, Alex.
Well, good.
So
I'm happy for you.
I've named my deck. It is called the pump.
All right.
My commander is Jacques Lever. This is a creature-based strategy, all green creatures. And it's designed around pumping my green creatures. So the green Jacques Levert, the commander, pumps their toughness. I have Keza to give them +1/+1. I have Wyoli Wolves to give +1/+1. I have a Pendelhaven to pump my 1/1s. I have the Stampede Driver to give all my creatures +1/+1 and trample. I have Mirari's Wake, Alex, to give +1/+1. I have Fires of Yavimaya. I can sacrifice it to give +2/+2. I'm going to add some new cards today. That's what we do during the Old Man Magic Commander Corner. We add
Hit
some
it.
cards every week. Today, Alex, in
Hit us
celebration
with those cards.
of naming my deck, the pump, I'm going to add the OG pump spell. You can't not have this card
Oh,
in a green deck that is
I
named
didn't-
the pump.
even notice it wasn't in here yet.
I have not added it yet. It is
Oh,
giant
what'd you
growth.
do with what's that? You're using that version, Steve?
I'm not,
Jeez.
Alex.
Ah,
I'm not.
jeez. Show me that big hungry mouse.
I'm adding the mouse. I'm going to add several pump spells today. I'm adding Rancor. This is one of my favorite new cards that I've learned about.
Yeah. Solid card.
I am running the version from Urza's Legacy. I'm also going to add another card, Alex, that we talked about a few episodes ago. At least for now. Who knows? Maybe this will be taken out. But for now, I'm adding Invigorate to the pump. I can invigorate my Scavenger Folk. I can invigorate my Wailuli wolf. I can invigorate my elves. I can even invigorate my Rith the Awakener. 2 colorless, 1 green instant. If you control a forest, you may have an opponent gain 3 life instead of playing Invigorate's mana cost. Target creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn. Another one that I'm not adding today, Alex, but wanted to show you. Might be adding this. I don't know. I can't decide if I need it or not. I mean, I can't put too many pump spells in because I need creatures to pump. Can't just have a handful of pump spells. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Overrun. Big on mana cost, but this could be a big late game finisher. 2 colorless, 3 green, sorcery. All creatures you control get +3/+3, and they gain trample.
Definitely like a huge finisher for your deck. Yeah.
So that's the key, the trample too.
You have everything trample.
Just pump everything and have them go over whatever blockers there might be. This is a weird price chart.
Yeah.
If this trend continues, it will be 75 cents in 5.5 months. Anyways, Alex, that was my reveal.
All right.
My deck, I added some pump spells.
All right.
Very exciting. I hope you enjoyed that segment. On to Alex's commander deck. I'm trying to find it. Alex does not have a name for his deck yet, so it is called Alex at the moment. Whenever you want to name your deck, let me know. We'll put together.
Okay, I will.
Potentially. I'm going to have you now describe your deck.
Okay, yeah. I'm doing a group hug deck to make friends with people, help my opponents early on, and help keep everyone in the game, kind of keep things balanced and diplomatic until I have, strength to stab them in the back.
Alex calls it group hug strategy. I call it snake in the grass.
Yeah. So, this week, I have 2 cards to add. I'm going to add, this isn't very exciting, but I need more mana fixing. And I'm looking at some of these elves that provide multicolored mana and stuff like that. And I may add more of them later. But for now, I want to talk about
It's exciting, Alex. Huh? I'm excited by mana fixing elves. I think they're exciting.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to add Utopia Tree, I think.
Okay, this is exciting because I like mana fixing. I've never heard of Utopia Tree.
Oh, okay. It's from Invasion and 9th edition. It's a 1 colorless, 1 green, 0/2 plant, and you can tap it like a Birds of Paradise.
You know what? I think maybe I did hear about it briefly. I think you brought it up to me on an episode once or in a phone call once, and I just forgot about it because I remember having a conversation about a plant, and I was like, something's called a plant? And this is cool.
Yeah.
1 mana of any color. I mean, it's very vulnerable, but whatever. If my Jacques Levert was out,
more toughness than Birds of Paradise. I don't love that it's 2 casting cost, but since I'm playing a 5-color deck, I think I'm going to keep looking at options. Maybe I'll take this out for something else, but I think it might be helpful to me. It's not threatening, just sitting there with 0.
Don't pay attention. It's just a plant. You got nothing to worry about.
Yeah, it's just growing.
Plant.
I'd also like to add Oath of Druids, which I just picked up recently.
Oath of Druids.
Oath of Druids.
Cool card. I haven't really thought about how to build around it yet or build a deck with it, but I want to at some point.
I've also decided I'm trying, in the theme of this deck, I want the things that help my opponents to be permanents rather than my spells from hand, I think. Just because, the permanents out act as a reminder, that I'm, their friend and helping them out, and they don't want to get rid of me when I have active permanents. If I have something in my hand that they, think might help them, that, they're probably not going to be as willing to not harm me. But anyways, Oath of Druids is a 1 colorless, 1 green enchantment. During each player's upkeep, if that player controls fewer creatures than target opponent, they may reveal cards from their library until they reveal a creature card, put it into play, and then all the other cards go to the graveyard.
I like it a lot. Yeah,
I wasn't even paying attention to the graveyard element of this before. I mean, I think I have because I've looked at the card a few times, but in context of this deck. So I'm not sure if I want to try to work, with that more at some point, or maybe even remove this totally, because I don't want to like piss them off by like milling their deck. At the same time, having stuff in people's graveyards gives me more options to do stuff in the game that they might not be thinking I will do. So if I have some like reanimation, in here, it might be good. So yeah, I think it'll be fun. It definitely it spices up the game a little bit. It makes things fun and interesting. So, try it out.
You are right, though. It might be more annoying to most people than anything.
Yeah, I have to be careful with that. Yeah, so,
not sure. And if you want to be playing things from their graveyard, so this isn't going to put creatures into their graveyard.
Oh yeah,
so
you're right.
Have to think about.
That's
fine. We all do dumb things sometimes, Alex. It's okay. This is a place for learning. We don't judge.
Yes, it is a place. We're working through the weeds here. We're working our way through. As a bonus, I'm going to give you a card I'm not putting in my deck, at least yet.
Okay, I did the same thing. Overrun.
Look up. So this card, I found this card a while ago before I even wanted to make this deck, and it was really interesting. Tell you what it is. You can type it in and start looking. It's called Tempting Worm. It was a weird experience, like a weird coincidence, because it was literally like the day after I found this card online and was sort of like, what? This card's weird. And I was thinking maybe I could play something fun around it just because it's so wacky. The next day I saw someone making a post about it online, like suggesting it. And I was like, what? What are the, it's going to get FOMO now. It's going to spike.
It already did.
Everyone immediately made fun of them and removed their post from the board.
Was this Reddit?
Yeah.
They removed the post because
the post disappeared. I don't know if it just got like buried somehow, but I was looking for it again. And it I think they just deleted it because they're like, we think you're either trolling or it's like a low effort post or something.
Low effort post, or maybe he was being insulted too much. Like the comments were too insulting.
Yeah. But anyways, this card.
Well, look at. I don't know if you looked at the price chart before you looked it up, but
yeah.
I don't know why it
spiked there.
10x'd in early 2022. So I don't think you have to worry about the FOMO at this point. That's already happened, and it's already just coming back down to earth. This is nuts when I see stuff like this.
I know, it's so wacky. Okay. But anyways, Tempting Worm. He's 1 green, 1 colorless, 5/5 worm. So big creature for a low casting cost.
Yeah.
When it comes into play, each opponent may put any number of artifact, creature, enchantment, and or lands from his or her hand into play. So basically your opponents all get to cast anything they want for free and play anything they want for free when you cast this.
It's like a Eureka for the board.
Yeah.
Except you. No, but it's only, I was going to say, no, it is. Because I was like, at first I was going to say, no, it's only 1 round. But Eureka, it's like you go around and each player puts down one thing.
Yeah. Well, it's similar for sure.
Here you can put down as many things as you want. You can empty your hand.
Yeah. And everyone probably will.
Yeah. And then
at least as far as their permanents go. So yeah, I don't know. This, I mean, I think people have suggested it for this type of deck that I'm building. It certainly will make all of my opponents pleased, but I'm kind of like, at what cost? Do I want to give everyone that big of an edge over me?
Yeah.
At the same time, I give them, now they're all more focused on fighting each other because they're all stronger.
I was just going to say that, then they have to worry about each other.
Maybe I will put it in. We'll see. I don't know. It just seems very risky to me for now. I don't know.
What would you do with this in a non-commander environment? I'm wondering. Anything that punishes your opponents for doing things.
Yeah. Or for having a small hand.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about that originally, but then also like you don't want, that's a terrible trade-off for the most part. It's like, yeah, you've just unloaded every spell, everything you wanted to play over the next 4 or 5 turns.
And you have to take rack damage.
But now I damage you with the rack.
Yeah.
I don't know. You could do this when you have something out like where you don't care about the damage you're taking. if you have one of those cards out that like reduces all damage to 0, or like you only lose the game if something happens and not if
Yeah.
you go below 0 life or
You
whatever.
could play it when your opponent's hand is empty,
That's
or
the
in
other thing.
combination with some, like you could play it in a discard deck.
Yep.
That might not be bad. Or like some kind of, Wheel of Fortune type effect where like people, like, that's not the right thing I mean, but you know what I mean? Like some type of like mass hand affecting effect.
Yeah. If you're playing a blue deck where his hand's just full of counters, who cares?
True. Yeah. True.
It's an interesting card. I like it.
It is. It's very, it's certainly unique.
This is
And
the coolest
worm is
art on a
covered with
worm too.
Fruit snacks.
Yeah, it does look tasty, doesn't it? Okay. Okay, I think that's the end of the episode for today, Alex. I think
We did it.
We're bringing episode 29 to a close. If you've listened this far, I want to say thank you. Thank you for enjoying our show. Thank you for sticking it out to the end. Please give us a subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Give us a like. Hit that notification bell. I don't have anything else to add for the day, Alex. How about you?
I don't think so. Thank you.
Okay, that's it. See you next week.
Peace.